First flight of the orbital Discovery, and the shuttle has cleared the tower. Discovery's core computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
You might notice a pattern.
Hey, okay. So we're trying this again. I tried to do a little bitty stream earlier, but I ended up having some stuff to go do. So, and I had some like weird audio issues I had to get worked out. Hopefully, I have that figured out. Um. Oh, cool. How are y'all doing? You know, it's like it's gonna be like a weird. I noticed that chat has like some weird. I don't even know what to call it. A lag, not lag. I don't know. Like there's a gap where you'll say something and I won't see it for like 2-3 minutes. It's dumb, but it is what it is. Um, yeah. What? Just go ahead and figure out what's going on. Hey, Megan. We are gonna be watching Metroid Dread. I never played it. I used to have the Metroid. I used to have like some Metroid game for like the GameCube, and I never beat it. Like honestly, it took me years to get past the first level. As sad as that sounds. I don't know. I used to have like a fear of like war game video, like first person shooters, like um, crap. What is it? GTA. Yeah, I used to be terrified of all of those games. Like when I could watch people play them, but I couldn't play them myself because it like gave me anxiety. Like I remember my brother sometimes used to let me play his GTA, and I followed like every law. Like I used to be so scared of getting a star. I was driving on the right side of the road. I paid attention to like red lights. It was bad. I don't know. Yeah. Anyways, you came here. Y'all came here to watch me talk about old Vashi boy, Vaush. And I haven't watched, like, I've seen like 30 seconds of this video before. Oh, crap. But I don't exactly know how, I don't know. I don't know exactly. I don't know. I haven't watched his videos in a while. So this is kind of like a catch up, and I saw he had one from like July. Crazy that sounds, on the vaccine. So I'm basically just gonna see what he has to say about that, and we're gonna get started. Can somebody type in the chat if you can hear this video? Cause
I've got a public service announcement.
my bad. I had like earlier. I had an issue with sound, and I don't know. I couldn't hear it. I was about to say, well, like I like the video couldn't be heard. So basically, we're just gonna start over there. Basically, first off, I'll give my position. I did this before, but have it new people here. So basically, I am super pro vaccine. I got Pfizer. I got my Pfizer vaccine like as soon as like my age group was eligible. I think that generally everyone should get the vaccine. I know there's like people with like immunocompromisations, but I don't think that's like a real percentage of the population, you know? Like I'm sure there's some people, but like I feel like it's being overplayed how many people actually are actually immunocompromised. And yeah, if you are those people, then you know, like it really sucks. You should, you know, probably be masking and social distancing and staying at home. Same thing with everybody else actually. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I think the mandate has been like pretty much exactly what it should be. Like it's a soft mandate. Like they recommend for large businesses, honestly everybody, to get vaccinated. But if you're not, like if you have that bad opinion, then you do have an option to like get tested regularly, which makes sense. It's just proving that you're safe, you know, and not out here killing people and babies and stuff. Okay, so no one can say I stole Vash's take. I have no idea what this take actually is. And yeah.
I'm afraid that all of you are going to have to shut up and take it seriously, because it's actually really, really, really important. I'm not joking. Vaccinations. They're a thing that exists, and it's pretty cool, you know? In the state of Washington, which is where I live, quite a few people have been vaccinated. The percentage of people who have been vaccinated in Washington is generally pretty high, and for that reason, life has gone more or less back to normal where I live. In like broader Washington, like, you know, governor's orders, the businesses, you don't have to wear a mask in anymore, you know? Which is nice. I like that. I like not having to wear a mask everywhere. I hated it. I hated every second of it. But because I'm a good American and a patriot, I did it because I recognized there was a broader civil need for, in this moment, my complacency, for all of our complacency. This is a chart. I retweeted it a little while ago. This is every single U.S. county measured on two axes. How many adults there have been fully vaccinated, and how many of them voted for Trump? You might notice a pattern. The counties with the lowest proportional percentage votes for Trump are the most vaccinated. And the opposite is the case with counties that voted heavily for Trump. Now, this is an incredibly significant distinction. I don't know.
Pretty much started off. I mean, all of this is pretty expected. I don't know. Republicans generally suck. Um, Sorry if there's any Republicans in the chat. Like, I I don't know. I live in a Republican state. I live in a Republican town. Everything around me is like Republican, and I know I see the and specifically Trump Republican, and I see like the pushback of like the pushback against vaccines, especially in the black community, because actually black people are among the least likely to be vaccinated, which sucks because I'm trying to like spread the awareness on this, but like it all comes back to these same, I don't know, I'm doing my own research Facebook talking points that are killing literally hundreds of thousands of people. My bad. I just needed to get that in there.
Know what the mean line is here necessarily. I can see a line traced right here. The bulk right here in the red side for the Trump County side is around 35%. And the bulk over here in the blue side, the not Trump voting side, that's about 55%. That is an unbelievable difference. The difference here between about 35% of the population being vaccinated and about 55 is astronomical. It's insane. That is an unbelievable difference. Apparently, according to this chart, there's one county right up here, in which 5% of people voted for Trump, where every single adult is vaccinated. I don't know what the population of that county is. They probably have like 6 people who live there, you know? I'm going to give you guys a really basic spiel that you've all heard before, but I want to rush through it because you're not actually my target audience, okay? COVID sucks.
Yep.
People have tried to find groups to blame. There's been a protracted effort in this country to blame this governor or that, China, you know? I don't know. I don't really care. I think that when an adult sees the problem, their first thought is, how do I fix it? Not who's to blame for this problem. When you get really hung up on trying to assign blame rather than address the problem, you distract yourself from the most productive path that you can take.
Based.
So what do we do to fix this? Well, the funny thing is, nobody on the right seems to have a consistent story on this. You know, there are commenters on the right, on Fox News and stuff, who are saying people shouldn't get vaccinated. I legitimately believe you could make a decent argument for arresting people who engage in that behavior. I mean, worldwide pandemic, and they're like, yeah, guys, don't get vaccinated because it's part of our political program to keep you from being vaccinated. They're all vaccinated. Tucker Carlson is vaccinated. Charlie Kirk is vaccinated. The Fox News hosts are vaccinated. The billionaires are vaccinated. Trump is all of them are vaccinated. Why don't they want the Trump pushed the vaccines? He bragged. Operation Warp Speed was.
Speaking of, my bad pausing again. This is just something to say. Like, it is kind of crazy to me, like, that Trump himself is, well, it's not crazy to me, but it's like Trumpism has gotten bigger than Trump himself, because Trump is pro-vaccine. Like, I guess, you know, even a broken clock is right twice a day. The only reason he's pro-vaccine is probably because he wants credit for it, which is stupid. But like, the point remains, Trump is pro-vaccine, and he can't get his base, like the people who you would think would like jump off a cliff for him. He can't control them. He can't get them to make that decision, which, I don't know, it feels like, on one hand, it's like funny, like, hi, your base is like neglecting you, but it also feels like super, I don't know, maybe even more dangerous than it already is. Like, you know, Trump having control of that many people is dangerous enough in itself. But now the idea of like Trump losing control of, like, you know, gathering together like these people, like this large group of people, like polarizing them and like setting them against the system, and now like he's pretty much lost control of it, and these people are like the blind leading the blind into these horribly astronomically terrible decisions that are leading to their deaths. Like not as many vaccinated people, but a few, like a few of our deaths, and like I said earlier, the people who are like immunocompromised, which I don't know, it just sucks. It just sucks. Okay. Oh.
It's one of the few things Trump did well. The programs he put in place to facilitate the rapid development and approval of the vaccines, that was a thing that was one of the very few things that he did well. But they still don't want their people to get vaccinated because it's turned into this horrible culture war issue. Yeah, remember Joe Rogan? Joe Rogan would play off the virus in public, but in private, people said that he was freaking out about it, having stuff wiped down with alcoholic wipes and being very fastidious with checking, very paranoid. It's fastidious. A brand.
Nerd.
Being anti-vax for a lot of these people isn't a personal choice they've made. It's a part of a broader political plan to politicize the response to COVID. But if you're watching me, you already know all of this. I mean, you already know. You're aware of all of this.
I am.
So my message isn't really for you. My message is for those of you who have friends or family members who aren't getting vaccinated.
I do.
What I'm about to say comes off a little harsh, but I'll say it anyway. COVID's killed over 500,000 people in this country. It has far outstripped the casualties of warfare. And that's only the people who have died, by the way. Millions of people have been afflicted now for the rest of their lives with debilitating conditions. Their heart, their lungs, their breathing have been affected by COVID-19. My father got COVID-19 like a year ago. I tweeted about it when it happened, and he's fine. He lived, he's fine. He's a big, strong guy. But sometimes, he says, there are still after effects. Well after the disease leaves, harm remains in your lungs. Have any of you ever experienced an injury severe enough to cause long-term pain?
Okay, my bad. I actually want to talk more about this specifically. Hold on, my bad. I have to check on chat. I'm getting weird on Minge and all of that. I did fix it. Can I still squat over 500? Yeah, I'm positive I can squat 500 right now today. My max now is actually like, it's in the high sixes. Well, it was in the high sixes. I don't know if I can do that. Just because I haven't trained that heavy. Like I've been doing like some workouts from home, but I'm not in nearly as good shape as I'm supposed to be and will be whenever I lose weight. But that's neither the point. This is sort of preaching to the choir, but I actually do want to go over some of the long-term effects. Now, I'm not a doctor. This is just what I've heard from like actual doctors I've talked to, and I feel like I have if you have information, you should try to like get it out to others. Like one of the long-term effects that people seem to be dealing with, and that I know personally from people dealing with, is like brain fog, which is like literally not being able to think properly, not being able to like use your brain to like process information at a slower rate, which is, I don't know, like that sounds insane. And I know people who have been dealing with that for like 6 months personally, who said that they don't feel like themselves. They feel like they're walking around on autopilot. And like, sure, they can think, like, like if they focus on something, they can like get to it. But like, they legit have issues thinking. That's just crazy to me. I couldn't imagine experiencing that. And another big side effect people are discussing, a lot of people talk about, is crap. Oh crap! There was something else. I mean, obviously, like like cardiovascular things. Like there's a lot of people who say that like even months later, they're still having trouble breathing, which I don't know. Trouble breathing, which like sucks in of itself. So I've heard some people saying that they've had recovery from that from getting the vaccine, even though the vaccine isn't actually a cure. But like, I don't know. So there's a lot of people dealing with a lot of like heavy stuff right now, which sucks. And I'm going to speak a little well, not personally. I'm going to get a little more niche, into like some of the issues specifically dealing with the black community. I know that's not necessarily what you're here for, but it's always good to talk about. One of the biggest pushbacks a lot of black people have dealing with the COVID vaccine is oh crap, sorry, my throat tickled and I'm literally losing my mind. Oh yeah, a lot of black people's pushback with the vaccine is dealing with specifically the Tuskegee experiment. The Tuskegee experiment was a illegal government operation in the crap. I'm gonna look up the exact year. I used to know it off the top of my head. Okay, yeah, in the 1930s, all the way up to some like say all the way up until like the 1970s, where the government was experimenting on black people who, because in Tuskegee, Alabama, there were like high rates of syphilis. Some like just due to like not understanding how STIs worked, and my bad. I'm gonna go back to this video. We're gonna finish it. I feel like I need to get big for a second. Yeah, going back to like I was about to say, just for people not understanding like the concept of safe sex in the 1930s and like STIs in general not being like something we have a big understanding of. Regardless of the reason, a lot of black people in this area were dealing with syphilis, and the doctors knew about it. But instead of choosing to treat patients, they actually just decided to let them like just to watch them, like, and they were giving them like placebo treatments for the virus disease. I'm not sure the exact wording. I'm not a medical professional, but basically this led to thousands of people, because not just those directly affected, but like their children and their children's children, brains like rotting, like people were having levels of infection inside their body that like I don't know, it was literally killing people like slowly and surely, all on something that we had the ability to prevent, which I don't know, it just sucks. It's part of this country's generally this is part of this country's generally like racist history, and I am super aware of that, and it gives me some grace to black people who mention this as a reason why they're hesitant to trust not necessarily the vaccine specifically, but to have mistrust with the government as a whole. I get that, but the difference being like being understanding doesn't give them a pass in this regard is specifically because there's a way higher level of testing, and the difference, like I said, with the Tuskegee experiment is they were withholding treatment. This is about receiving treatment. If anything, like not getting the vaccine is like recreating this entire experience, which is kind of super counterproductive. And the fact that like you're seeing all the politicians, like we have the testing, it's FDA approved. You're seeing, I mean, black physicians, black medical professionals like who are giving the recommendations. You're seeing like all of, like I said, every politician in the country has received these, been vaccinated to my knowledge. I'm not sure if I don't know about mayors, but as far as like federal politicians, I'm pretty sure they were mandated to do so, as far as I know. And Biden's even taken the booster, which isn't even like super recommended for everyone yet. It's just for people 65 and older. But yeah, I don't know. That was just like a random quick little history lesson about what's going on. Okay. I'm probably gonna do, this is probably gonna be a thing, like he talks for a little bit, and then if I have a comment I'll jump in. If I don't, I'll let it ride.
I hurt my back years ago, and up until a recent and vigorous program of physical therapy, I carried with me back pain for years and years. You know how I would have looked at somebody who had looked at me 5 years ago and said, "Oh, dude, you hurt your back? Well, that sucks, but it's over now. Throwing out your back for deadlifting obviously isn't that much of a problem. You can walk now, can't you?" And I could, painfully. There are people with knee injuries who know this. They've had it for decades. COVID does things to your lungs. There are plenty of papers on this now, plenty of reports. Many people are afflicted by this, and not just old people, young people too, who have a hard time tasting and smelling like they used to. This is a real thing. And by not getting vaccinated, you're afflicting the people around you too. Those with immunodeficiencies, people who can't get vaccinated for one reason or another, or
It's not
the
that
fact
many of
that
y'all.
the vaccination is just not perfect. It's not completely infallible. And by making yourself an active vector for COVID-19 spread, you are increasing the likelihood of death and decay. And you're doing it for no reason. You're really doing it for nothing.
Vaush
So here's my
spitting right
message
now.
to you guys, okay? If you have friends or family who won't get vaccinated, don't see them until they are, even if you're vaccinated. If you have kids and your grandparents won't get vaccinated, do not let them see your grandchildren until they get vaccinated. The vaccines are free. You can just go get them anywhere now. If you're over 12, you can get them anywhere. There's no excuse. This is not a high wall to pass.
So this is something this is something I've found more nuance in. What's up, Richie? So on one hand, I completely agree with this. Like, I don't believe the bar to entry is too high. But there does seem to be some reporting, I don't even know if you consider it studies, but there seems to be some reporting showing that in poor communities there is at least some access issues. I don't know if that's due to like transportation or like time off work or like a number of other issues. I don't know. Like, you've had a year. To me, I feel like you should have found time to like stop at like your local CVS or Walgreens or whatever pharmacy is around you, or like I think they're even doing them at Walmart. I don't know. Like I said, I generally, at least in my local area, I'm generally pretty unsympathetic because like there's multiple pharmacies and places like recommending to like give them away, but there is like some small percentage of people who seem to claim that there is an issue with access in poor communities. I'm not in these communities. Could be true, but like I said, I don't know. That's just adding, I guess that's just like a little bit of nuance.
There are people who are scared of the vaccine, and that is because they have been subjected to this overwhelming onslaught of propaganda, and I feel for them, but this is not the time to be sympathetic towards them. This is not their time for sympathy. This is not their victimhood. This is victimhood they're inflicting on other people. If you have friends or family who aren't getting vaccinated for some political reason because they think it'll do this and that's it, you can put them in the vice as hard as you want. Even if they bitch about it for the rest of their lives, they don't deserve any better. They're putting everyone around them at risk. They are gambling with their and with others' lives over absolutely nothing. That won't solve the problem. Wrong. No matter how much people want you to believe this isn't the case, social stigma works. Being unvaccinated because you don't want to take it should be an unreproachable blemish on your character that makes people around you disgusted by you. Okay?
He's going hard.
Not, oh, this is a
But
choice. Not, oh,
I get it.
peer pressure them.
I respect it. 100%.
Until they're miserable. Because the solution to their misery is 20 minutes at a local CVS or wherever their local vaccine station is twice. That's it. What a hard burden. How difficult. It's fine to bully them. It is fine. You have people who don't want to get the vaccine. They are committing themselves to social stigma. And frankly, I think it's inconsiderate of you to deny them that reward. So you should. You should give it a shot if you can. Do what you can. Okay? There are a lot of people who think like we need to be nice and complacent. I don't think so. I don't think so. I think that at the end of the day, the weight of social stigma will be an effective means by which we can write out this chart.
This chart is crazy.
I know that some of you are going to take like the Darwinian approach on this, you know, like, oh, so Trumpers die? Ooh, so sad. So ignoring the fact that that's a pretty bad political program, and ignoring the fact that there are plenty of people who agree with us who live in Trump majority counties, and
like
ignoring
me.
the fact that Republicans are a victim of their political party. They're a victim. You know that these people, this is victimhood we're looking at right now. Higher rates.
I'm from where they make Republicans. I'm from the most Republican place. The Republican place. You want to know who my district rep is? My congressional representative is? Marjorie Taylor Greene. That's right, folks. The worst Republican. The most, I don't even know, QAnon, whatever. That's where I'm from. That's where I live. And it is absolutely as bad as you think it is. Some cool people, though. But, yeah. Well, some cool people. But, yeah. Like, Trump is a god where I'm from.
Of deaths. This is where they're being victimized by a select group of millionaires, billionaires, and political elites who benefit from stigmatizing the vaccine and pushing their own political agenda. They're victims. So don't think of it that way.
You're a victim.
Okay? I mean, all other things considered, I suppose if I had to flip the coin on it, I'm glad that it is the people who are choosing not to get vaccinated who are more at risk than the people who are fastidious enough to get vaccinated. But in a better world, that wouldn't be a coin which needs to be
Mike
flipped,
Bost.
okay? Let's write this graph a little bit, all right? Let's get us all above that herd immunity threshold.
Hold on. Now I need to
There
figure
are
out
worse
who Mike
terrors
Bost
down
is.
the line, too, like variants. I don't know how much you all know about virology. I don't know much. But as I understand it, the longer pandemics spread, the greater a likelihood there is that the billions of random mutations that take place during the reproduction of the COVID virus will lead to a new strain.
How bad is he? He looks pretty
which
bad.
may be able to
Like, this is my first time
circumnavigate
hearing about
the
Mike
effects
Bost.
of current vaccines. Now, the Delta strand
I see
seems
him.
to be mostly
Googled him.
covered
I see him
by
like holding
our
Trump's
current
hand.
vaccines. From what I heard, that it's like a couple percentage points less effective, at least with the Pfizer vaccine. But maybe that won't be the last one. After Delta, maybe we get Beta
Beta.
or Alpha or
A5.
Epsilon. And maybe one of them ends up being so bad we get sent right on down this.
The Sigma variant will be unstoppable. And for people who like just jumped on like the Sigma male joke train, like this trend, I honestly I wasn't even doing like online stuff, but I invented this first of all. Just I'm about to say it's like for fraternity related reasons, but like the Sigma male being the most elite male, like I have been making these jokes for going on close, not a decade, but pretty close. But yeah, the Sigma variant would either kill us all or give us all superpowers. One of the two.
Right over again, you know? And I don't want to live like that. I'll tell you this much, though, okay? The longer this country, the longer our planet is crippled by ongoing plague that we have the ability to deal with but choose not to because of political pressures, the more our fight against conservatism stops being a matter of political difference and starts being a fight for the survival of the human race. Between that and between climate change, the greater the moral stakes are raised, the more we have to consider this a fight for our continued existence. For everyone's existence. Christ. I mean, seriously, look at this. We fight for the continued existence of everyone, including the people here on the right side. These people too. I want them to live. I want their children to live. I want their grandchildren to live. I want us all to live. We're all victims here of the politicization.
Very pro-life of you, Vaush. I'm sorry, that was a bad joke.
Of this virus.
Oh, we're almost
Some
done
of
with
us
this.
more severely than others, but we still are. Same with climate change. Though, I do want Florida to sink into the ocean. I am consistent on this position with that one exception. I am okay with Florida sinking. Okay? Honestly, I think a lot of Floridians would be too. You know? I think there's like, they just see the water rushing in, they're like, yeah. Okay.
That was a quick one. And oh, I have a tiny Yorkie begging for attention right now. She's like clawing at the door, and he don't want to see her. She's fat and ugly, but adorable at the same time. Yeah, like I said, I mean, generally pretty good video. It was super quick. I don't know. Is there anything else? Is there anything more recent that y'all think I should check out or do some sort of reaction review to? It doesn't have to be like Vaush related. It could be literally anything. Exactly. You say you're pro-choice because you want people to not die of disease. Curious. Exactly. The real pro-choice take is wanting everyone to die, because that's the correct choice for the planet. I'm not letting you in. I don't know. Oh my God. Hold on 1 second. I gotta get a Yorkie. Okay. This is Layla. I feel like most of you have seen her to some regard. If you haven't, she's very unkept. She needs a haircut. She's supposed to be going to the groomer soon. Oh, the Professor Flowers. What is that? Black nationalist. I heard about this. I haven't seen this either. Um, is this also a Vaush video? Charlie Kirk Ben Glib Dolphin. I don't know. I'm just gonna look it up. Okay. That's your screen time. Leave me alone. Professor. Oh crap. Why when I write Professor Flowers is the first thing that comes up? Google is watching. Oh my god. The video is 3 hours? I'm not watching 3 hours, but I will watch. Ooh, what's yours name? Okay. Now I'm getting Dr. Heen discussion with Black Lives Matter activists. Okay, well, I don't know how to do polls. Just type in the chat. It'll take like 2 minutes for me to recognize. Would y'all rather check out the Dr. Flowers debate? This is also a month ago. I am behind on things. I need to catch up. I'm gonna be more caught up. A Professor Flowers debate or a Dr. Heen discussion. I don't know which is more relevant in the discourse on the things. Is your name Bruin? What's your Yorkie's name? Oh, it's just a 20-second clip. Let me see if I can find it. I don't know. It's too much. I'm gonna pull up the.
No, that's a shame.
Videos just happened. Okay. What sucks is I only have one screen right now. Whenever I don't know. I'm trying to like. Oh crap. I'm trying to like not put. I had to get a mic, obviously, just for like stream purposes, and I feel like things would be a lot easier if I had a second screen so I could like monitor the chat and crap. But until then, I'm going to oh crap. I don't know. I think I'm gonna try to monitor chat and watch this Professor Flowers debate. Hold on a second. Okay, there's that. And there's that too. Okay, and here we go.
Not all white people are colonizers. You yourself acknowledged it's possible for a white person to live ethically in South Africa. So maybe we go below the surface level and we talk about the underlying issue, like colonization and the systemic problems that lead to that. Hey, howdy.
Hi.
How are we doing today?
Doing all right. I wasn't planning on spending my day off talking with you, but glad it's happening.
Prince.
My friend BP, who I mentioned in
And
my last
Canelo.
video,
He's a
had this
boxer.
great idea for me to make brownies, and I cut them up into little pieces. And the idea is that if there's anything that you want brownie points for, I can just take this and put this in the jar. And I figured that maybe at the end we could count all the brownie points together.
Nice. No,
I
I
remember
like
you
that.
saying that.
I'm on a diet
Yeah,
though,
like I
so I
remember you
can't
saying on the last.
can't eat them.
No, that's a shame. They're the Ghirardelli kind. So I just remember like the last video that you said that you're helping me out by platforming a content creator, a 30.
She's coming in spicy. I'm assuming we don't like her. Well, or we do. I don't know. I have no idea what this is. I've just heard like vague things, but she's coming in pretty spicy.
With your size, so maybe we could start off with that for a brownie point if you wanted.
Oh, well, yeah, I want as many brownie points as I can get. And yeah, isn't that how it always
Awesome.
works, right? It's actually something that I've been struggling with a lot recently with my channel, you know, because people will, I don't mean you with this, I legitimately don't mean you, but like usually like far-right types, they antagonize me because they want the attention, and the attention they get it whether or not they come off looking good in interactions with me, so it's, you know, you gotta be careful with the clout game. It's rough out here. It's like Game of Thrones.
Yeah. So,
I'm gonna
Hey, I
speed
want
it
to
up.
talk politics.
what did you ask me
Talk
on?
shop?
Yeah. Want to talk? Sure. Let's get to down why you asked me on here.
Yeah, well, I guess I took issue with your video, the first one, and I guess the second one was just sort of a follow-through on the issues that I had with the first one. There is a mistake that I made, which I'd like to address up front.
Take out the people who colonize them. There's a number of ways that could look.
My bad. I'm fast forwarding because it seems like all of this is intro. Oh crap! I skipped too much. Let's see. And I don't care about intro.
Take out the people who colonize them. There's a number of ways that could look like without actually committing genocide.
Isn't that, I mean, how do you kick out millions of people because of their race without it being a
You
genocide?
take out. So like when colonization happens, the people who colonize those places take over industries, making it so that way the people who have the most power are running those countries. So what you do to take away their power is you take the power back. You make those industries not run by the people who are colonize them. And then because they have a lack of power, those people tend to leave. That's just like one example off the top of my head.
Oh, sure, sure. If you mean like reappropriating businesses and fairly distributing them, and then people of their own volition leave, that's fine. But that's not what I tend to see from like black separatists, right? They aren't like, we should have a proportional amount of industry controlled by black people in X country.
Okay. So she's a black separatist? Okay, like, I mean, I know black separatists, like, people, there's a number of black separatists, and, like, I've heard their arguments, and they, like, I don't know, it's super weird. I completely disagree. It comes from, like, this weird place of, I don't know, it's almost alt-right in like blackface, as weird as that sounds. Now it comes from a different place. It comes from I'd even say it comes from a more valid place. Like there's there is some validity to like, there is it is reasonable to understand that people who have been dealing with like racism and white supremacy specifically, like you understand why there would be like a lack of trust and like sort of this pessimism, or Afro-pessimism is what they generally call it, that assumes that like these things can't be fixed, society can't be like put back together. But like, I don't know, there's just like, it's such a dark pill to take. Like if you ever, I don't know this girl, I mean, I'm sure I'm positive she identifies as black, but she looks potentially biracial, and that doesn't change anything. Like that's not like, that doesn't affect her way on her opinions, but it just seems like she should have an understanding that people from different ethnic and racial backgrounds can like be civil and get along. I don't know. I mean, she may not be biracial. I know very light-skinned people who aren't biracial, but I don't know. Like, I don't know. Like, Afro separatism is just really, really, It's just lame. I don't know, and it'll never happen. That's the other thing. It's such a useless talking point because no one's ever gonna actually agree to this, and why should they?
And then let the cards fall where they may. There's usually an explicit intent to not live with the racial groups that are associated with their oppression, which is kind of what you use in your video too, right? Like
Right.
you don't say people in colonized countries should have the right to reappropriate industry and make it democratic. You say they should have a right to determine whether they want to live with their oppressor. You're giving the state the power to deport people or kill them when that's the language you use.
My point is that the people who colonize those people, if the people who are there and they live in their own country don't want to live with people who are colonized, they should have the right to determine if they want to live with those people or not. I think that could look like a number of things. And my point is that doesn't actually have to always look like genocide. And the way that you're painting it is just comparing it to white nationalism.
What does she mean? It doesn't have to look like genocide. Like, it shouldn't look like genocide. Why is that? Why is that an option? I don't know. See, this is where this always goes. Like, oh yeah, it can look like a number of things. It doesn't have to be genocide. Oh, I don't know. It depends on where she goes. It sounds like she's like not taking genocide off the table, which looks really weird and cringe. I don't know. I'm barely in. I could be completely wrong about this.
And so my point is that you can critique these things. You don't have to agree with these things, but you can talk about that sentiment without calling it the same thing as white nationalism. That's my point of the two videos.
But I've talked to white nationalists, and they kind of talk exactly like how you talk. Most of them aren't bold enough to say, yeah, I want to genocide or deport all the non-white people.
Oh, she's adopted?
Usually it's like, yeah, we want to restrict immigration from X countries, and we want to pay people to leave, and we want to incentivize white power in our country. Because at the end of the day, I mean, it seems like the underlying logic here is the same, right? Whether the grievances are legitimate or not, and I want to make a clear distinction here. Black people in South Africa have been oppressed by white people. White people in America are not oppressed by Jews or whatever. So obviously, in terms of correctly identifying past modes of oppression, there's a huge difference. But the feelings of persecution are the same. Nazis do feel persecuted, and as a product of that, the language they use comes out really similar to this. We should have the right to determine a space for our people, a right.
See, that's really weird. I don't know. Like, again, and this doesn't change anything. Again, I hate when people like use like these, I don't know, use like personal experiences. Like if it's a negator, like, oh, are you personally going through this? Well, you can't talk about this. Or like, oh, are you, you know, does your personal experience line up with what you're advocating for? Like, I don't think that's super useful, but I do find it just interesting that someone who is biracial, well, who's supposedly, I'm just listening to what chat says, like, is apparently biracial with white step parents. Like, if that was the situation, again, it could be completely not the case. Would be a separatist, or even if she isn't self-identified, it seems to be like position she's super apologetic towards. Yeah, like I don't know. It feels, I don't know. It feels like she's looking for something, or not looking for something. Like there's an approval. I don't know. I don't want to, like, I don't know this girl personally. I don't want to like poison the well because I don't do drama, but maybe she's like coming into her blackness later in life, and what that identity means to her. And maybe she's been influenced by people who aren't super useful in having these discussions. And I don't say that to like down her or to say that like her experience is wrong and I'm right, or that I have like any basis to be making these prescriptions. Oh crap. Yeah, that I have any room to be making any of these prescriptions. I just think that, or I don't know, this is just what it sounds like to me. It sounds like someone who is trying her best to fit in And that I don't know. Yes, I don't know. Again, I'm reading way too deep into this.
To choose our homeland. So the language to me comes off really, really similar to white nationalist stuff, especially when we're dealing in like really ambiguous terms like they should have a right to live free of the oppressors. I mean, how can a person be an oppressor because of their race? Did all the millions of white people in South Africa like individually oppress all the black people there? It just seems weird to be retaliatory.
I really need to figure out how to like make my camera roll continuously. I don't know how to do that yet. I'm figuring out little bitty things every day. So I really appreciate y'all for having patience with me. Apparently there's like 18 people watching right now, which is huge for me. Like, thank every one of y'all for this. Yeah, like all y'all is like, I'm super appreciative of all of y'all. And as we sort of build this community, like you guys who are like my first viewers, really want to like make sure that I'm super inclusive and I listen to what you guys sort of want to see, and how we sort of develop the channel from here.
In that way.
So it's not that every single person is necessarily an oppressor. The thing that people are talking about with racism comes down to the system that people are part of. For example, I'm adopted and my dad is white and he's a European immigrant actually. And he might not have been a part of the people who have enslaved black people or descendants of those people, but he's still profiting off of a racist system. And there needs to be some sort of disempowerment of those people as far as power and racist structures in order for there to be equality. So that's the point that I'm getting at. The reason why I'm being vague is because if you look at different countries who have decolonized themselves, you have like all these different ways that those countries have gone about it. You have people who have been very violent, and you have people who have somehow done it peacefully. We're reading a book called Ujamaa, or it's called Ujamaa, but it's by Julius Nyerere, who was one of the leaders of getting rid of colonialism in Tanzania. Unfortunately, after he died, a lot of things were put in place, but he did it completely through voting, which is amazing. And we're also reading like Frantz Fanon's Wretched of the Earth. Frantz Fanon did a lot of work in Algeria, and there's like a lot of violence that happened there. I think like dealing with colonialism is going to be messy, and there needs to be room to have nuance in these conversations.
Hey, Moon,
and I
thanks
think
for
just kind of
checking me
reducing it
out.
like, oh, this is white
like,
nationalism.
super
is
appreciate
very
it.
reductive, and it doesn't really give space for those people to talk about what to do.
I just don't understand how you could ever morally permit any plan of action which involves the deportation of a people based on their ethnic group, you know? I don't know if that necessarily addresses any of
that ethnic group colonized a group of people.
Oh, sure.
That's
but
how. That's and if we disagree on that line, that's fine.
No,
but I think colonized people have to have the right to self-determination, what to do about the people who colonized them.
I agree that the ethnic group did indeed participate in the colonization, but I don't believe in taking blanket retribution against people for their bloodline because they're associated with the bloodline.
It's not about...
Well, it is.
It's about being away from the people who oppressed you. It's about taking your power back from people.
Okay. So, yes, people who were colonized should have some say, should have some input on what decolonization looks like because they're the ones directly impacted. But that doesn't give you that doesn't mean there's like free reign to do literally anything, even at the expense of like the well-being of the rest of the country as a whole. And that's not, I don't know, like you know, it's kind of like when you're growing up, you give, and this isn't to like be condescending or like, because you know, when you're dealing with like colonized people, but this is just an example, like just analogy for analogy's sake. Like as children get older, they should have more say in what they want to wear. So maybe you give them options. You can do this or this, but they, you know, the children can't decide that they want to go to school naked. Like that's not an option. Like you have some say. You can have some power and control in what that looks like. You can even potentially help, you know, write out, like have representatives write out what that looks like. But you literally don't have free reign to do whatever you want at, you know, just because I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Like, basically, you understand what I'm saying, right? Y'all get me. There's limits, and I don't understand why she is like refusing to acknowledge this is an obvious reality. Yes, genocide shouldn't be on the table. No, kicking out all the like citizens of a country shouldn't be on the table. Like, but you can work hand in hand with the government to come up with a solution that, although may not be like your perfect super ideal way, but like something that I guess does the most good for the most people. Like you being centered doesn't mean that you are, like, someone being centered in something doesn't mean that everyone who's not centered is completely irrelevant to the, like there's still considerations made. Even there can still be considerations made to you even if you're not centered in a situation. So yes, we should center the colonized people, but that doesn't mean like that the other people living in the country like are subject to genocide or even anything like close to that if the people who we centered said so. I don't know.
People who oppressed you.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
you
saying.
can do that without deportation.
That context through the lens where you analyze that. I'm sure some people think so, and I'm sure some people have found that they can't. You know what I'm saying? It's very different for each country and each context.
You can do that without deportation or creating an ethno-state. In fact, I can't really think of a single time in history that ethnic disempowerment.
Yeah, Thomas, that's a perfect example.
Or like mass deportation.
Y'all are gonna hate me for pausing so much, but yeah, Thomas, that's a perfect example. A crime victim is never a good person to ask, how do you want to get back at the perpetrator? Like, I believe in restorative justice. Some people believe restorative justice means that like the victim gets to like decide the punishment when the victim is going to be the most biased in any situation. It can be a super justifiable bias, but like we don't want victims making those levels of decisions. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, but from a very understandable biased place.
It doesn't seem to be a very effective way of changing the socioeconomic reality of the people who were previously colonized or previously oppressed. It seems like, if anything, it's an act of retribution. That people would go, oh, well, since we were the oppressed for centuries, now we have the right to enact moral vengeance against you and remove millions of you from the country or something. And that just seems to me, I mean, not only are you basically being the villain there, it just seems to me like this is a really impractical way of fixing any of these issues, you know? Like, I mean,
I think that's fair to say, like, that you could say, like, wow, like, mass deporting millions of people is, like, not really useful or helpful. But I also think, like, when you look at people who are working on decolonizing, like, that's not necessarily what's happening. People are just trying to, like, get the people who have power over them to leave. And I think in that context, that makes sense insofar as you're trying to break down a power structure. That's where I stand on it personally.
If they want to leave, that's fine, but I don't think any ethnic group has any more of a right to a country than any other ethnic group. I don't think any racial group here in America.
Nighthawks, I don't know. Let's not go too far. Like, yes, like being born somewhere, like it's not about punishment. It's not about direct fault from being a colonizer because you were born someplace. But like even me living in this country as someone who is a child of the descendants of slaves, like I am a participant in not necessarily the colonization, but the disenfranchisement of, not even disenfranchisement. I can't think of the word choice. I'm bad at words when I talk, but like I am a participant at harm that's like caused towards the Native American population in the United States. This is an absolute reality, and I don't, just because I and even my people weren't the cause of that, doesn't remove doesn't remove my responsibilities I have now. And some people say that just to like virtue signal. It's not something to apologize for, but like knowing that we're all participants sort of leads more people to being more active when it comes to like pushing back against it, to fighting it, because a lot of people will like hand wave colonization, slavery, racism, like, well, you know, that was people who were dead, they ain't got nothing to do with me, like, and because of that, nothing ever gets done because no one takes on any level of accountability. And I'm not responsibility, literally just accountability, understanding like I do play a part, like I can advocate for more to like do more good for these people. That's literally all it is. It doesn't mean it's not your fault. You're not the bad guy or girl or person. You just, I don't know, just like having a level of understanding and empathy.
Has the right to decide whether they want to live with any other racial group.
So, like, just to like be clear, because I actually don't know your views on this. Like, you don't think that we should give the land back to indigenous people?
If that involved deporting the people who live here who aren't indigenous, then God, no, absolutely not. I don't think we could fix one genocide with another one. I think there are ways to address the problems with like Native American people here today involving like land redistribution or like forms of reparation and stuff. But if it involves like displacing like millions of Americans, that seems I don't know, that seems pretty bad.
I mean, I think it sounds pretty bad. I don't think indigenous people are trying to do that. And at the same
No,
time,
I agree.
like,
Yeah.
these are the people who are colonized, and they have to have their own autonomy to decide what happens after being colonized by people. And again, I don't think that's the solution for them.
Well, within limits.
I
I
think
mean, they couldn't
should
go
get
like
to decide
we get
those
to kill them all.
limits.
Well, wait. If Native Americans
Yeah.
wanted to start like taking out a blood debt on white people, I don't think they should be allowed to just start killing us, right?
I mean, I don't think they should be allowed to start killing people. What I'm saying is like they should have the right to decide if the colonization should continue, if the people who should stay here or not.
What do you mean? But where's here? The whole of America? Do we deport a third of a billion people back to Europe or something? I mean, we caused like a worldwide catastrophe so that what? A few million people can re-inherit the land. I like the logistics of this seem really odd to me. Shouldn't we talk about ways that you can pragmatically address these issues and not like just give massive moral leeway to people just because they're oppressed? I don't think being oppressed means that you have any more of a right to be like a moral judge, jury, and executioner than any other member of any other group.
I think the point is that it's not actually like the U.S.'s land. We're on indigenous land, and they need to have their own autonomy. I highly doubt that if we gave the land back to indigenous people, that they would do the same thing that white people did to them. And
It's not about it. Yes, it's indigenous land, but like that doesn't mean that you give away like 100% of the land. Like you go back far enough, it was someone else's land before that and someone else's land before that. I don't know of any like historical wars that happened in North America. Like, well, obviously besides like the wars like dealing with America, but I don't know any like pre-colonial wars that happened in North America. But like at the end of the day, saying that we were here first gives you like an unending limit to like this land is like forever yours because of that. Like it just doesn't seem super useful, especially not going forward with history, because like if history shows us anything, like countries will fall, countries will expand, countries will combine, and you know, like I don't know, to me I feel like land changes hands over time. Like they're not making any more, and people have to live somewhere. So yeah, now like I'm in favor of like a land back program, but it's like it's got to be within reason. Like they can't have the entire country back, and like I don't even know where you would deport 330 million people. That includes indigenous people, so I don't know where you would deport 320 million people. Like where would they go from what is considered, air quote, the most powerful country in the world? Yeah, no one's agreeing to this. This is what I mean when I say like some people have like pointless conversations.
I think that's also like a mistake around black people. Like black people having power doesn't mean that they're gonna just like start murdering white people.
Yeah.
White people just like want equality, or black people just want equality.
Wait, but I don't have a
I
problem
think people should have
with land back. I don't have a problem with black people having power. I'm specifically saying I take issue with your claim that oppressed people have the right to determine whether or not they want to live with their oppressor. I don't think the land back movement is about kicking Europeans out.
Like, there's so many ways that could look like besides committing mass genocide. You know, like you keep on talking about like, oh, that means that we're just going to kill people or deport people. There's just so many ways that could look like in the U.S. that could look like in different African countries. And I think people should have the right to determine.
Then talk about those other ways. Like, stop leaving these like horrible options on the table as options if you don't believe that they would go that way. Ignore like it's not a hill to die on that, you know, like genocide and kicking people out should be options. Like, just take those options on the table. That's a really, really easy pill to swallow. And the reason that she's not makes me feel like because I don't know, like she's kind of in favor of these things, which feels pretty dirty. I don't know. Okay.
In that, to be able to talk about what to do.
But I'm in favor of those things. I'm explicitly against the claim you made.
Like if you're in favor of those things,
well, what are those?
Like
what
really bothers me is that when people talk about this, when people even start to talk about like just, you know, how LeftTube is divided by race, right? Like I watched that you have with No Name and Say Andrew. This person's just saying like, hey, my tweets aren't for you. You're calling this person a segregationist. That's my point. My point is that people can't say their opinions without being called.
No Name is a segregationist. No Name's takes are all bad. No Name is, her music is okay, but like she's politically found herself within the last year, and she's in like that super radical stage of herself. Like, I don't even think the Black Panthers would respect No Name's efficacy. Like, and that's not to say that No Name's the problem. Like, No Name's not a problem. Most of y'all probably don't even know who No Name is, but No Name is a female rapper / radical activist. Makes decent music. She's not a bad person. She's trying to do good, but yeah, like No Name politics are awful, like garbage.
These extremes. People can't even.
But she built a library, and that was pretty cool. It's not like some people are pissed at her for building a library, and I understand, but you know, people are gonna do what they want. She was trying to do good.
Talk about like, wow, what would it be like to live in a world where we're not around the people who are oppressing us all the time? And then we talk about this, and then we start talking about separatism as this wild extreme. And it's like there are separatism that I think is this wild extreme, but there's also separatism.
You're doing it back and forth. Just to be told,
it is, and we don't have room for this conversation.
So just to be clear, I don't think you have a right to live in a world without white people or in a country without white people. You keep dancing back and forth between these 2 points. I don't think any ethnic or racial group has a...
We've got 30 viewers. This is crazy to me. Like, I know that seems small to y'all, but this is like huge to me. I appreciate y'all so much. Like, every single person in here. I'm not going to be a person to like ask for likes or donations or whatever, but like that feels amazing. Thank you, every single one of you, for just checking me out and just sitting with me. We're going to build from this. This is going to be something really cool, and I'm not doing this for the viewers or like anything like that, but like, you know, it still feels good, so thank y'all. My bad.
Right to exclude or expel other ethnic or racial groups for any reason, no matter who was the colonized or the colonizer. Now, if we're talking about other policy to redistribute power or address differences or stuff like that, then absolutely, I'm on board with that, and I spend time on my platform advocating for those things. But the problem that I had with those no-name tweets is that it was like, my cultural product isn't for white people. I think that's essentially segregationist gatekeeping. Not, obviously not like, you know, one water fountain for the other type stuff. We're not talking about state power.
But you can understand that there's black people who want to have black spaces. Like, you understand that.
Yeah, as long as they're not like
backed by the force of the
state. Yeah.
Okay, well, No Name's just saying that this tweet is for white people, and you're calling that person a segregationist. That's like the kind of rhetoric I'm critiquing. And again, I'm not saying that you can't critique separatism, that you can't like be on board with this stuff. What I'm saying is that your content that you're making is making such extremes where people talk about how they're frustrated with white people. People talk about how like, hey, we need spaces where it was with black people. This content isn't made for white people, so your opinion isn't as relevant here. When that's happening, you're calling these people segregationists. You're comparing everyone in this box to white nationalism. And what I'm saying is that's not a fair critique. I think it's okay if you're not okay with separatism. But what I'm saying is that these critiques and making these false equivalencies to white nationalism is unfair.
Well, I didn't.
Does that make sense? Does that clear things up?
Well, I didn't call No Name a white nationalist. I don't think. I don't remember the exact tweet thread.
You said that she was a segregationist.
Well, yeah, there were elements of that stuff that were pretty segregationist. I think. So, like, I don't have much respect for the
tweet that said this isn't for white people. That was it. That was the tweet.
Well, I think that was in response to some other stuff, right? Where people were criticizing something that she said, and she said that it's not for white people. I need to look at the thread again, but if I remember like the general gist of stuff, the thing that bothers me is that I think that the only real difference between doing that and somebody saying this content isn't for black people is really like broader societal power. I think it's really unproductive to suggest that racism can be fixed or addressed by reifying and reflecting a lot of the exclusionary tendencies that systemic racism brings about only through the lens of the oppressed, you know? And No Name has done some stuff that I found pretty yikesy. I have to go back and look through the Twitter thread. When I was having the conversation with the person who was defending those tweets, it also feels to me sometimes like we're not really talking about justice. We're just talking about some black people don't really like being around white people, which I guess is you're right, but I don't think that's like a morally defensible political movement, you know?
Like, you don't understand why there are black people who don't want to be around white people.
I understand why there are white people who don't want to be around black people, but I don't give them much moral credence either. I get why they want it. I just don't think that's necessarily a good thing.
Like, why people who have to deal with racist shit all the time are like, hey, I don't want to be around the people who keep on making racist shit.
Well,
do I understand it right, or like I don't understand?
Well, I think you can say
like, what's the issue with that?
Well, I think you can say I want an anti-racist space, but what you've just done there is essentialize racism as something only white people can express and something black people don't express. And I can tell you from my experiences online, there are a lot of black people who are pretty goddamn racist in all directions, and there are a lot of white people who aren't. If you want an anti-racist space, go for it. Godspeed. Make more of them. But when you essentialize it as like a white-black thing, I think that can lead to a lot of really bad roads, you know?
I don't understand like why it's wrong if a black person's like, I'm talking to black people right now. Okay. And I think a lot of white people aren't going to get it.
Well, I mean,
I don't understand like how that leads to bad things. And like, that's just like a reality that black people are dealing with all the time when they try to talk with white people about racism.
Who made her the representative of black people? And I get she's not trying to be the representative. She's just trying to speak up for the people that she's speaking up for. But it's weird when I don't know, it feels weird when she's generalizing and saying like, this is how black people feel. Because I don't feel that way. I don't feel this way at all. I don't know. Does it go past this? Is this the entire thing? Like, do they go into anything else?
And then, they're called a white nationalist. They're called a segregation. Like, you
know
what I'm saying?
It's just
your
her, like,
content is actually
justifying
the perfect example of why it's like, yeah, we need black spaces. And if you want
separatism
black people to
and
stop needing black
genocide
spaces more, then you got to stop comparing black people
in the
to
name
white
of black
nationalists whenever
nationalism.
you disagree with
The
them.
black nationalism is actually not that bad.
Every time I disagree with them, I think that's a pretty bad characterization of my position.
Sorry, when so many times you disagree with them. My bad.
I found the tweet from No Name that I really took issue with. Do you mind if I read it? Just because we've talked about it, so I think the context is relevant.
Sure.
No Name said, why are white leftists more eager to unify with radicalized communities than organizing your own people first? Unity with black people is meaningless as long as the masses of white people are indoctrinated into white supremacy and liberalism. Please don't speak to me about police. The last sentence being in reference to the
That's
tweet
actually
that
not the tweet that I'm talking about.
Oh, is there a different tweet? How many No Name tweets do I dislike?
There's two. There's one in a video from earlier. I guess I can try to find it. But
well, I'd say that tweet that I just read, though, is kind of an indicator of the behavior that I don't like. It's essentially saying, hey, white leftists, you know, you have a quota of white people you have to de-radicalize before you're allowed to interact with the black community, which seems like such pointless, unproductive, like, gatekeeping. Like, what is that? How does that improve anything with regards to racism besides, like, making white leftists feel more awkward and uncomfortable talking about race issues?
But she wants to do so much good. That's what that's the worst part about it. People who want to do good, but like they just do bad.
Seems like kind of.
I think there is a lane that like white people are in. That tweet kind of confused me because hold on, let me just pull it up because
we're all in one lane, and it's the lane of life. You know, we're on the autobahn. It's just one giant road. Well, I guess the autobahn
oh my God.
has lanes too.
We're in the lane of life. It's like just kind of completely like ignores like the racial divides that actually exist. You know what I'm saying? It's like, wouldn't it be nice if we were all in the lane of life? But we're not. We have like all these issues that we have to deal with for us to actually be able to see each other as that.
Well, by the lane, I don't mean like liberal colorblindness. I mean that I think that people of any race have a right to talk on any issue. I think cis people should be able to speak confidently on trans issues, white people on black issues, black people on white issues, and so on. I think that trying to keep that from happening leads to a lot of really weird community gatekeeping that's just bad for...
Yeah, anybody can talk about any issue, like literally. Now, that doesn't mean that like being part of an experience group doesn't make you like make your position on that group. Being part of a marginalized group doesn't make your position on that marginalized group correct, but it never hurts. Like not being part of a group, it doesn't make you incorrect, but you should definitely like, I don't know, like you should build up your opinion contextually. Not even necessarily based on conversation you had, because like you could just talk to all the wrong people. Like something that can be backed by data is just fact. You know, there's right and wrong. But when you're dealing with like these niche topics that aren't necessarily data it can be important to listen to the concerns of people who are a part of that group. That doesn't mean you have to agree with them, but like agree with their solutions or with their prescriptions. But as long as you understand like a myriad of concerns and problems people have, I feel like from there anyone should be able to come to their own like conclusion on the issue. Like, so that's the difference between saying that like racism doesn't exist because like I'm gonna use a different example. Sexism, it doesn't exist because I'm a guy and I think girls got it easy. Like, that's a bad take. Like yes, you're not part of that group. Two, you're not contextualizing anything. But like, you can defend the realities, the existence of you can contextualize. Like, I can defend why sexism exists against a woman who disagrees, and I can do so contextualizing different things I've heard from women in my life and like statistics and real life experiences. So like, yeah, I don't know. I just think it's important to listen to people who have like firsthand experience, but remember that those firsthand experiences don't make, it doesn't make you absolutely correct on something.
Our political goals.
So you can do that. You can definitely like speak on behalf of other people, but I think the huge issue is that people need to really understand what they're talking about. You need to go to these communities and go, hey, what's up? What are you dealing with? And then you can talk with them in the context of trying to represent them as close as possible. And before you talk with them, you have to like go back and be like, hey, did I understand this correctly? Did I get this right? That can take so much time to do. But I think people shouldn't be trying to represent anybody if they don't understand what they're talking about.
You're trying to represent me.
Like in the issue of like No Name's tweet, for example, like, again, in this video that I watched, like, you said that this person was a segregationist.
But I need to see the tweet to understand the context.
Okay, let me find it.
It's okay. I didn't mean to send you on a hunt for it or anything. I thought that I had found it. I didn't realize there were two tweets I took issue with. Out of curiosity, which Democratic primary candidate did you support back during the primaries?
I voted for Biden.
Okay, I voted for Biden.
Didn't want to, but you know.
But what about in the primaries? Who'd you support before all the candidates got crunched?
I really was hoping that Bernie would win.
She did vote for Biden.
I also heard about some other candidates that I really liked, like Gloria LaRiva, but I didn't think that there was going to be enough people who voted for her, even though I liked her policies more than Bernie.
Read a book.
So I still stuck with Bernie.
So this is the issue, right? Because the black community didn't side with Bernie. They sided with Biden.
Classic.
So would my support for Bernie back during the primaries have been an indication that I was failing to listen to the needs of the black community? Or do you think that I have
you would get along in real life
for my own reasons and my own opinions?
Like, you already my dog. That quick.
An agenda of racial reform. That's what the candidate they don't necessarily support with. You could go the same direction with like abolishing the police. A lot of the black community didn't support abolish the police. It was mostly people like us, largely online young leftist radicals who supported that. So is this an issue of us making a mistake by ignoring them? Or do you think it's okay to advocate for racial issues without necessarily deferring to the group opinion of black people?
I think the issue is that you need to like listen to what people are saying. Like, for example, like and again, I define like listening as not just doing whatever people say, but seeking understanding. So like when I talk about how I wanted to vote for Bernie and ended up voting for Biden because it was lesser two evils, there are other people out there who are like, well, if I voted for Bernie, I don't think that would make a difference. And when I first hear that, I'm like, that's really wild because, like Bernie has sparked this socialist movement in America. Even though he's not a true socialist, he got a lot of people interested in it. Who's a very inspiring person. And then when I hear people talk about like why they don't like Bernie, it's usually a lot of black people who grew up really poor, and it's black people who are really mad at Bernie for like signing the bill on super predators, even though he wasn't the only one part of that. But people lost so much hope in this person, and people are like, listen, at the end of the day, whoever we vote in, the structure of that we're voting into is still a white supremacist structure. So we need to figure out how to fight this system just by trying to vote for less of the two evils. And I think there's space to have that conversation, and still maybe vote for Biden, for example, because he's a lesser two evils. Like, we don't have to just have like one or the other. There needs to be space for that conversation to because when I listen
All
to
right, bro.
black people, especially black
See you,
people who
man.
are poor, who are like, I don't like Bernie, even though my initial reaction is like, wow, I love Bernie, what's wrong?
Be productive.
When I hear why they don't like Bernie, I'm like, wow, you really have been fucked over by this person, and that makes sense. So maybe we should talk more about how to fight this system by instead of just voting for the lesser of two evils. And that conversation can't even take place because the people who are saying vote for the lesser of two evils are like, shut the fuck up. And that's an issue.
No, I agree it's important to be able to have that conversation, but what you're talking about right now is what you do when you disagree with the black community. And I guess that's kind of my question, right? Because what happens if I disagree with the community you're telling me to defer to? I see this a lot from people on the left I disagree with, that if I say something they don't like, they tell me to, well, you should listen to black people, you should listen to trans people. But you said earlier, you think it's okay for white people to speak on behalf of black people. I am not speaking on behalf of anyone with any of my positions. When I speak in favor of trans rights, I am not speaking on behalf of trans people, only my own opinions. They could all disagree with me and I'd still say what I say. I don't care if every one of them disagrees with me. I believe what I believe is right, not because they tell me to, but because I've argued it and I've thought about these positions, and I try to arrive at whatever I think I can best defend. So sometimes it's a bit odd to me. It's almost like we prioritize a sort of in-group deference to the opinions of minorities over the ability to actually formulate and defend an argument. And then, like, you get people who exploit that on the right. Blair White, who when I debated her said she thought it was odd that a cis man would be critiquing her for transphobia. Or Candace Owens, who calls everything that breathes at her racist. There are people who exploit this, like, liberal identity politic tendency in a way that I think makes it really difficult for us to make our arguments.
Yeah, I think the thing is that you need to make sure that like the people that you're representing, like let's say like there's like disagreements or something. They're all obviously like no one's a monolith. There's gonna be people who have all these different views. At first, I think it's still important to try to understand like why are there all these people with different views in these communities. And then secondly, if there's someone where like, okay, I'm like really standing with you, I think you need to.
This is okay. Yeah, this is what I was just talking about. Like anyone can, like again, anyone can have any discussion on anything. I believe. Well, I don't know if he was being hyperbolic or not. I believe if every single trans person had a different perspective than him on trans rights, I believe that he would hear a good enough argument to, like, he would be concerned why he believed what at least which most people would. It just because he supports trans people. Like, I think if every trans person told him his take was incorrect, he would find some nuance in discussions with trans people he trusted. But the principle of what he's saying is true. I think everyone, like, you don't speak for other people. I think you should speak for yourself. And like I said, you should try to contextualize the things you do say through research, through reading a mother effing book. And I don't know, like some percentage of at least acknowledging you've had conversation with other people. You've heard like people who deal with it directly, hopefully intelligent people who deal with it directly, giving their reasoning on why they've came to the same conclusion you have, to help you like, oh crap, I'm bad at stuff. I gotta figure out this cam situation. Yeah.
Really understand like why they're saying what they're saying, and then run it by them before saying more than that. And then if people critique you, for example, try to actually really understand why they're critiquing you instead of just calling them like a white nationalist or something, or a segregation.
Well, what if I?
I don't disagree with what she said. Like, I think it is okay to run it by people. Now, you can still disagree with them at the end of running it. I don't even know, like, run it by them. Like, well, yeah, actually. No, run it by them is fine. Like, run it by people who have, like, firsthand experience with a thing and see where they gather that perspective from. I think that can be super useful. But like I said, even after running about them, like, if they make bad arguments, you can still disagree with them. I disagree with people all the time who you would think like are like, are you disagreeing with me? Are you telling me I'm wrong? I am quick to say yes, absolutely. Even to my friends that I love. But yeah, like, I don't think what she said in a vacuum is necessarily wrong.
What if that's
Like
what
that
I
looks
think, though? I
really
mean,
different than what's happening right now.
oh, what if
If
that's
that's
what
what you
I think?
think, it's extremely ignorant to start calling people segregationists. Like you literally said that St. Andrew wanted to start a race war. It's like, come on, St. Andrew.
I need the
Like
I
just
need the
don't
context to
say
know.
that shit then.
Well,
It
what,
was in the same video as the No Name thing, and I found the No Name tweet where you called her a segregationist. The tweet is, "Why do white people follow my every move? This shit is not for you." And then you were like, "Well, I'm not a segregationist like this person." I'm just like,
I guess I just
don't
think that
do
stuff
that
is
for
really.
starters. Just don't do that.
I guess I just think
try
that
to
stuff is
understand.
really weird, especially as a big public figure, you know? To be a really huge public figure, and then for what seems to me like no reason at all, like, why make it a race thing? Like, you can make it a racism
It is
thing.
a race.
No,
It's
no,
already a race
it's
thing.
a
What do you
race.
mean? Make it a race thing.
It's a racism
It is
thing.
one.
If there's racism, you can call out racism without, like, being like, oh, this isn't for this racial group, you know? Like, I know, I admit, I engage in language here sometimes that's a bit irresponsible. I make plenty of jokes about
What is the difference between saying this isn't for this racial group or this isn't for white people? What's the difference? Can you explain that?
Well, I mean,
How bad? I don't know. This is getting like it's kind of saying the same thing again. No Name is like always wrong. Remember that, kids. No Name. Just most of y'all don't even know who she is, so it's fine. I don't know. You guys don't know any more than I do. I want to get more engaged with the community as a whole. I guess with the like streamer community, because like I want to talk to Prime. I want to start getting engaged in like a few of his panels. I've reached out to Hans. He seems pretty cool. I want to like get more. I want to like start having some debates and like being engaged in panels, because sometimes I hear someone give generally my take, which is cool, but a lot of the time I feel like my perspective is not represented, and I want to like, I don't know, start reaching out to talking to more people and spreading the truth. Well, I've like I said, I already had a conversation with Vaush, and I like obviously I would talk to him anytime. I mean, he's huge, but I also don't want to do like the orbiter thing or feel like force him to like have conversations with me about things that we generally, I don't know, like I don't like echo chambers really. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm open to like good conversations where we can like get into the nuances and the nitty gritty, but like, I don't know, it's not fun for me to sit in a room full of people who I already agree with and like just sort of tell each other how smart we are. Like, I want to have pushback. I want to have like, I want to fight a little bit, I guess, which I feel like I wouldn't get from having too many conversations with Vaush. At least not like, unless he has something where I disagree with, or like I think there's like a better conversation to be had. I don't just want to go on the stream just for the sake of going on the stream and like trying to like steal his fans or something. That wouldn't be cool. I hadn't thought about Dylan. I definitely have to reach out to him too. Even though, like, again, politically provoked. Never heard of it. I don't know. I'll have to look it out. I don't know. Yeah, this came off a lot easier. I appreciate. Am I quiet? Can y'all hear me? I can turn my mic up if it's too low, but I hadn't heard anybody else say that I was too quiet. Let me know. I'll adjust my volume. I just don't want to like kill y'all for no reason. I don't know. Yeah, like I said, I would definitely do the hippy dippy. Or any panel. Like, I would say avoid bad faith debaters until you feel confident you can push back on their dangerous or harmful claims. Stick with leftists and others you have disagreement with. The thing is, I'm actually a pretty good debater. Like, it's not like I haven't debated before. I just haven't debated on stream before. Like, I've done a lot of debate against right wingers. I've even made friends with some right wingers that I'm like in the process of converting. Like I had a friend that's like a super hard Trump supporter, and okay, I'm just glad the volume's fine. Yeah, I had a friend that was, well, not he wasn't a friend. Like, I met him and he was like a hardcore Trump supporter, and we used to debate like almost every day about something relating to Trump or like universal health care or like, and I think the important thing that I did was I never made his like random bad political opinions a shot against his character as an individual. Like, you know, I wasn't disrespectful, I wasn't rude, I mean, I guess I was mean when we debated, but like, like, if anybody asked me about him as a person, like, I didn't like hold that against him. And slowly but surely, me debating him and him watching me debate other people, has sort of started to convert him on different issues. He still has a lot of really, really bad takes, but he's came around on universal health care, and I don't know, I guess he's liberalizing, which obviously liberals aren't. I mean, I guess technically I'd be considered a liberal. I'm a SOC Dem. I consider my, like, if I'm a liberal, like, in the way that, I don't know, whatever. But, yeah, I think it's really important to just reach, I don't know, like, not reach across the other side or like try to befriend Nazis. Like, there are people who have like demonstrably bad taste that are like too far gone, and then there's people who thought that Trump was cool. And I think that although it's really harmful and dangerous to like be a Trump fan and a Trump supporter, I don't think this is the same as you being a bad person. I think that, like, for whatever reason, Trump does have some characteristics that like people who aren't super engaged in politics like, and you have to be open to having conversations with these types of people. Yeah, I was about to say that's also different. If I was gonna do like an online debate versus someone who's openly trying to like convert fans, then my job wouldn't be to convert them, because they're deep enough to debate online. My purpose would be to generally make their positions look bad, make them seem stupid, but not in like the blue-haired, I don't know, SJW white girl kind of way. Like, in the like I want to come off super reasonable, super rational, and just like correct pilled. Which was actually almost my channel name, was like almost correct pilled. But the reason I came up with Black American Made is because my name has always been Bam, and I wanted to do I don't know, I wanted to like create an acronym using my name because it was just easier to go with from there. I've seen that TED Talk recommended like 100 times, and I've never watched it. I don't think I watch TikToks in general. They just don't. I mean, they could be fun. They don't generally seem that fun, but I don't know. I don't know. Is there anything? I don't want to watch any more of that debate. It felt it felt like it was going nowhere fast, and it had already made it to its like final bad destination. I'm trying to think if there's anything else going on, even non-political. I'm not gonna spoil, but I just got done with Squid Games. It was pretty good. It was actually really good. Yeah, Neil, I'll definitely end up looking at. I definitely end up looking into their stuff and seeing if I find any issues and if I can stir anything up. But yeah, I just watched Squid Games. It was pretty good. It seemed like it should have been an anime, honestly. Like, I was honestly surprised that I was honestly surprised it was released as like a live action thing, like a live action Korean thing. But I get Korea's anime community isn't big, like they do manhwa, but I don't know. Would you say Dr. Heemed versus Pro Life? Let me see if I can find it. We're for lifers. Yeah, I don't see the. You read books, Bo? That's pretty cool. I don't know anybody that still reads books. Like, I used to love reading. And then I like got into audiobooks for a while and it was really cool. But oh crap, Brett. I'm definitely not gonna I'm not gonna like spoil you, but you should definitely watch it. It should be anime. What's some animes I haven't watched? Like, I haven't seen any. I haven't watched anime in a while either. I've been mostly reading. I've been reading a lot of manga, and I don't know. I used to be an anime only. I had like I had a long transition. It's probably the transition most people made with anime, and some people are like still on it. I started out like I was a dub only person. Like, I just wanted to watch Dragon Ball Z and Naruto dubbed, believe it. And then I ran out of stuff, like regular dub stuff to watch. And I remembered this anime about a rubber boy, and I looked it up, and it was One Piece. And I started One Piece. This is years ago now. I've been in anime for years now. But I watched all of One Piece dubbed, and I ended up like falling in love with it. And I got to a point where I had to watch sub if I wanted to continue, which was crazy to me. But I did it, and I figured out it wasn't that bad. And then I became a sub boy, who only watched sub. But like, I wasn't gonna read manga, so like that was too far. Like, I may be able to watch sub, but I'm never gonna like look at pictures. And then what got me into manga? There was something. Actually, it was also One Piece. I think I had made it to. I had made it to the end of Dressrosa, and I've been watching weekly for years at that point, and I finally was like, I got into like watching the like larger anime community on YouTube, and it made me want to start watching the dubs. Like, not made me dub. It made me want to like catch up and like be a part of the community. So that's when what got me into manga. And once I read rest of One Piece manga. And I was like, which is actually my favorite piece of media like on earth. It made me like start reading other things. So then I've read Tokyo Revengers. I'm caught up. I read that weekly. I've read I've read everything. Like Reincarnated as Slime is fire. I've seen every episode. Well, yeah, I think I've seen every episode, and I'm caught up to the manga too. I read that. What else do I watch? I don't know if it's a manga. I ended up reading all the like popular manga, and then I like reached out and started reading manhwa because I wanted to like, I don't know, I had a hunger. Only the reading. Rabbit Doubt, I have not, but now I feel like I need to. Paranoia agent. I don't like. I'm literally. You don't know what this means. I am adding this material as we speak. Don't play with me. Oh. Knights and Magic. I could have swore I read everything. And now y'all are giving me like great recommendations, and I'm searching them. I'm literally gonna search all these up and read them and talk about them because yeah. This looks pretty cool. Fantasy Isekai, smart protagonist, and mech. You almost ruined it with the mech. I'm going to read it. I'm absolutely going to read it. But mech stuff makes me nervous. Outside of like Attack on Titan, even which is technically a mech. Knights and Magic. Interesting. I don't know. No bad. I'm literally just searching these up and talk now. And I feel like I'm being rude. I feel like I should be doing some tricks or something. Not bad. Each one takes like a couple minutes to load, and it's taking me a second to like save them for reading later. Mushiko Ten. Oh my god! Look at Moon. I F with you. You're getting. Just for recommended Mushiko Tensei. What do you want? Oh crap. Well, my computer's acting weird. I would have minded you. And I will next time you're in chat. Because Mushiko Tensei is like, I was watching it before, I was reading it before the anime came out, and yeah, it's like magnifique perfection. I don't know. I think this was like, I heard there was a new season. I haven't watched it yet, but I'm definitely gonna check it out pretty ASAP. I like to let a couple episodes get out before I start watching it, because sometimes the first episode's like a recap or like nothing interesting happens. So I like to let 2 or 3 weeks go by before I jump back in the series. I think this was like a really, really good stream. And again, I know I keep saying it, but I'm gonna keep saying it. Like, I appreciate y'all so much, but I think I'm gonna quit while I'm ahead because I don't think it can go up too much from here, at least not today. Yeah, thank y'all so much for checking me out. I have to go cook for my girlfriend, and I have a Yorkie that probably needs to pee. Yeah, appreciate y'all so much. I should be streaming again tomorrow actually, because I get some new headphones in. I'm getting like some big guys that I want to test. I'll end up testing them out. But yeah, thanks so much for everything y'all are doing. This will be up pretty immediately. I think that's how this works. And yeah, like I said, check me out tomorrow. There I should almost definitely be doing a stream.